2002. Interview with Diane Sawyer. ABC News. Whitney Houston sitting across. Thin. Eyes sunken. Diane said, "Whitney, people say you use drugs. Is it true?" Whitney laughed. "People say a lot of things, Diane." Diane said, "Do you use cocaine?" Whitney said, "Sometimes." Diane said, "Have you ever used crack?" Whitney stiffened. "Crack is cheap. I make too much money to ever smoke crack. Let's get that straight, okay?" But everyone knew. She was lying. She was addicted. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications, because this is the story of an icon's denial, the destructive power of addiction, and how the voice was silenced. But what Whitney didn't know at that moment was that this interview wouldn't end her career, but 10 years later, it would kill her in a hotel bathtub, because addiction doesn't forgive, and Whitney wouldn't be forgiven. Whitney Elizabeth Houston was born August 9th, 1963 in Newark, New Jersey, in a musical family. Her mother, Cissy Houston, was a famous gospel singer, had toured with Aretha Franklin. Her aunt, Dionne Warwick, was a superstar, famous for Walk On By. Cousin Dee Dee Warwick was also a singer. The Houston family was music royalty. Whitney would sing in church as a child, New Hope Baptist Church in Newark. Every Sunday, Cissy would say, "Sing, Whitney, sing to God." Whitney would sing. Her voice was perfect. Everyone would stop. Listen, this child is special. This child has something. At 11, she did her first solo performance in church. "Guide me, O thou great Jehovah." The congregation stood up, applauded, cried. Whitney was shy. "I just sang," she said. But it wasn't just singing. It was God's gift. Everyone knew. But Whitney's childhood wasn't perfect. Newark was tough. The 60s and 70s, racial tension, violence, poverty. Whitney faced racism at school. White kids would say, "We don't want you." Black kids would say, "You talk too white." Whitney didn't belong to either. She was alone. There were problems at home too. Her father, John Houston, was controlling, harsh. "You'll be perfect, Whitney. There's no other option," he'd say. Pressure. Every day. Every night. But what Whitney didn't know was that this pressure would make her a superstar, but also destroy her. 1977. Whitney was 14. She was doing backup vocals with her mother in studios. Chaka Khan, Lou Rawls, big names. Whitney would sing in the background, but her voice stood out. Producers would say, "Who is this girl?" Cissy would say, "My daughter Whitney. She has an incredible voice." 1980. Whitney was 17. Started modeling. 17 magazine. Glamour. She was beautiful, tall, elegant. But she didn't quit music. At night, she'd sing with her mother in nightclubs. 1983. Arista Records boss Clive Davis heard Whitney. He was shocked. "This voice comes once in a generation. We must sign her." He made Whitney an offer. Whitney accepted. "I'll make you a superstar, Whitney, but you must be careful. Image is everything," he said. 1985. First album Whitney Houston came out. Explosion. Saving All My Love for You. Number 1. How Will I Know? Number 1. Greatest Love of All. Number 1. 7 songs in a row hit number 1. First time in American history. Nobody had ever done it. Whitney was 22. She was the most famous woman in the world. 1987. Second album, Whitney. Bigger. I Wanna Dance with Somebody. Global phenomenon. Whitney won a Grammy, American Music Award, won every award. They called her the Voice because nobody could sing like that. Power, control, emotion. She had everything. But first, Whitney would discover something. Love. And love would destroy her. 1989. Soul Train Music Awards. Whitney was on stage. Bobby Brown, too. Bobby was in New Edition, then went solo. My Prerogative, a hit. Bobby saw Whitney. "You're beautiful," he said. Whitney smiled. "So are you. The flirting began. Cissy was worried. This man is no good for you, Whitney. He's troubled. Alcohol, drugs, violence. Everyone knows. Whitney said, but I love him, Mom. He understands me, the real me, not the famous Whitney. Cissy said, you're making a mistake. Whitney said, maybe, but it's my mistake. July 18th, 1992. They got married at Whitney's New Jersey mansion. 800 guests, lavish. But Cissy wasn't happy. She sat in the corner, cried. This won't end well. I know it. She was right. The marriage was good at first. Whitney was happy. Finally, someone loves me for who I am, she'd say. March 4th, 93. Their daughter Bobbi Kristina was born. Whitney said, my happiest day. Now I have a family. But the happiness was short-lived. Bobbi started drinking. More. Every night. The fights began. Why are you drinking, Bobbi? You're controlling Whitney. Leave me alone. Screaming. Breaking things. Neighbors were calling the police. Late 1990s, Whitney started changing. Lost weight. Eyes sunken. Couldn't hit notes in live performances. Out of breath. Fans said, what's happening to Whitney? Media started writing, is Whitney Houston using drugs? Whitney denied it. I'm fine. Just tired. But what Bobbi didn't know was that Whitney wasn't just tired, she was addicted. And addiction would destroy everything. Late 1990s, Whitney had started using cocaine. With Bobbi, first alcohol, then marijuana, then cocaine, then crack, every day a little more. Whitney would say, just to relax, to reduce the pressure. But it wasn't relaxation. It was escape. Escape from everything. From fame, from pressure, from the obligation to be perfect, from being the voice. Whitney would say, I just want to be Whitney, but nobody lets me. 2000. Whitney's voice was seriously damaged. Live performances were terrible. The Oscars ceremony. She was supposed to sing Over the Rainbow. She started. Her voice trembled. Missed notes. Out of breath. The world was shocked. What happened to the voice? Whitney started canceling concerts. I'm sick. Throat infection, she'd say. But everyone knew. Drugs. Addiction. 2002. Diane Sawyer interview. Whitney admitted using drugs for the first time. Sometimes I use cocaine. Yes, Diane said. Crack? Whitney got angry. Crack is cheap. I make too much money. I don't use crack. But she was lying. She was using crack every day, with Bobbi, at home, in hotels, everywhere. But she couldn't admit it, because admitting it meant weakness. And Whitney never wanted to appear weak. But what Whitney didn't know was that this denial wouldn't save her. It would only postpone the destruction, because in 2012, everything would end. 2006, Whitney and Bobbi divorced. 14-year marriage ended. Whitney said, I can't take it anymore. This marriage is killing me. Bobbi said, you're killing me too, Whitney. Court. Custody of Bobbi. Kristina went to Whitney. Bobbi could see her on weekends. Whitney said, now a new beginning. I'll get clean. I'll return to music. 2009, comeback album I Look to You came out. Critics were kind. Her voice isn't what it used to be, but still beautiful. Sales were good. Tour started. But concerts were a disaster. Whitney couldn't breathe on stage. Couldn't finish songs. Fans were shouting, Whitney, what's happening? Whitney said, I'm sorry. My throat. I apologize. Some concerts were canceled. Media was ruthless. Whitney Houston is finished. Her voice is gone. Whitney collapsed. I was the voice. Now I'm nothing. Nobody wants me. Fell into depression. Withdrew into loneliness. Bobbi Kristina was worried. Mom, are you okay? Whitney said, I'm fine, baby. Don't worry. But she wasn't fine. Went back to drugs, cocaine, alcohol, prescription pills, mixture, dangerous. But first, Whitney would get one more chance, the 2012 Grammys. But that chance would be death. February 9th, 2012. Whitney arrived in Los Angeles, checked into the Beverly Hilton, room 434. Why? February 12th, Sunday, Grammy Awards ceremony. Whitney was going to attend. Clive Davis had his annual party. February 11th, Saturday, at the Beverly Hilton. Whitney was going there, getting ready for the show. Everything's fine, she said. February 11th morning. Whitney woke up late. Noon. Her daughter, Bobbi Kristina, had called. "Mom, how are you?" Whitney said, "I'm fine, baby. There's a party today. Getting ready. 1 p.m. Whitney went into the bathroom, filled the bathtub, hot water, to relax. Her assistant, Mary Jones, was waiting outside. 3 p.m. Mary said, "Whitney, the hairdresser is here. Time to get ready." No answer. Whitney? Still no answer. Mary got worried. Opened the door. Whitney was lying in the tub, face down, motionless. Mary touched her. She was cold, no pulse. She screamed, "No! Whitney! No!" Called 911. Beverly Hilton, room 434. A woman in the bathtub. "I think she's dead. Hurry." Police arrived. 3:30. Paramedics arrived. They pulled Whitney out. Performed CPR. It didn't work. 3:55 p.m. Death was declared. Whitney Houston was dead. 48 years old. Autopsy report. Heart disease plus cocaine use caused drowning. Whitney's system had cocaine, marijuana, Xanax, Flexeril, and Benadryl. Mixture. Lethal. Whitney passed out in the tub. Fell underwater. Drowned. But there were questions. Bruises were found on Whitney's body. Scratches on her face. Hotel security cameras lost some footage. Who entered the room? What exactly happened? Nobody explained. Official report. Accident. But suspicions always remained. February 11th evening, 7 p.m. Beverly Hilton. Clive Davis's annual pre-Grammy party. Same hotel. Whitney's body lying upstairs. 300 celebrities partying downstairs. Music playing. People laughing. Drinking champagne. Clive Davis takes the stage. "I've learned that Whitney Houston has died. I'm very sorry. But Whitney would have wanted the music to continue. Tonight we'll celebrate for her." The party continues. The world is shocked. How can this be? There's a body upstairs, party downstairs. Some say disrespectful. Some say this is the music industry. Business continues. Whitney's family is angry. The party should have been canceled, they say. But nobody listens. January 31st, 2015. Atlanta. Bobbi Kristina Brown's house. 10 a.m. Her boyfriend Nick Gordon goes into the bathroom. Bobbi Kristina in the bathtub, face down. Motionless. Nick screams, calls 911. Bobbi Kristina taken to hospital, in a coma. 6 months later, July 26, 2015, she dies, 22 years old. Just like her mother Whitney, in a bathtub. Drugs, suspicious death. Autopsy, drowning plus drug mixture. Cocaine, marijuana, alcohol, Xanax in her system. Just like Whitney, Nick Gordon is a suspect. Court opens, 2016. Nick Gordon found responsible for Bobbi Kristina's death. $36 million in damages, but no prison. Nick says, "I'm innocent." 2020. Nick Gordon dies, 30 years old. Drug overdose, 3 deaths. Mother, daughter, boyfriend, all addiction, all tragedy. Whitney Houston was one of the greatest vocalists of all time, The Voice. Nobody could sing like that. Sold 200 million albums. One of the best-selling female artists. I Will Always Love You is the most iconic song of all time. But Whitney wasn't just a voice. She was a human. Traumatized, under pressure, lonely, addicted. As a child, she sang in church, Sing to God, Whitney. In the 80s, she became a superstar. The Voice. In the 90s, she married Bobby Brown. Toxic relationship, violence, addiction. In the 2000s, her voice disappeared. Crack, cocaine, denial. Crack is cheap. I don't use it. But she did. Every day. In 2012, she died. In a bathtub. 48 years old. Bobbi Kristina died too. 2015. In a bathtub. 22 years old. Just like her mother, addiction passed from generation to generation. Wasn't broken. Whitney had said, I'll get clean, I'll return to music. But she couldn't, because addiction doesn't forgive, and Whitney wasn't forgiven. But her music remained. Her voice remained. Millions still listen. I will always love you. Greatest love of all. Every word, every note, perfect. Whitney died, but the voice never died. Forever.